Oh, Alina's catering, how cute, Kendra drawled, loud enough for half the reception to hear. My stomach dropped. Tyler's wedding reception buzzed, crystal chandeliers reflecting off forced smiles. The air hung thick with the scent of lilies and thinly veiled judgment. Dad patted my hand, a gesture that felt more dismissive than comforting. Just a little taco truck, right, Alina? My hands trembled slightly. The lie felt like a lead weight in my gut. Inside, I was screaming. Outside, I remained composed. A text buzzed. Elegant Occasions acquisition finalized. A flicker of grim satisfaction warmed me. Ever felt unseen, underestimated? Subscribe for the ultimate underdog story. Trust me, the sweet revenge coming is so worth it. It all began in 1998, the year Mom died. Kendra, a woman whose smile never quite reached her eyes, swiftly moved in, like a polished predator claiming its territory. The scent of Mom's roses, once the defining aroma of our home, were replaced by Kendra's cloying perfume. That Christmas was a clear marker. Tyler received a brand new, top-of-the-line computer, still in its box. My gift, a used set of watercolor paints that once belonged to Kendra's daughter. It's the thought that counts, Dad said, but the thought felt more like an afterthought. The disrespect escalated subtly but consistently. College applications loomed. Tyler received help polishing his essays, mock interviews were arranged. I was told to focus on something practical, like cosmetology. College is expensive, Alina, Dad said, avoiding my gaze. The final straw was the sale of our childhood home in 2008. One day I went to visit, only to find a sold sign. My calls to Dad went unanswered for days. I later learned that the house was sold to fund Tyler's business venture. I was never even consulted. As Kendra said once, some people are just better at making decisions. That was it. That day, sleeping in my truck, I made a choice. No more invisible, no more unheard, no more dismissed. Building a future from scraps became my sole focus. For months, I lived a life of brutal simplicity. Showers at the 24-hour gym, meals cobbled together from discounted groceries, the constant hum of the generator powering my tiny haven. The city lights blurred through the truck's dirty windows, mocking my poverty. But within that cramped space, fueled by resilience and a fierce determination, a plan began to take shape. My taco truck, Alina's Eats, became my laboratory. First, it was late-night runs, catering to the bar crowd. Then corporate lunches, offering a gourmet twist on classic comfort food. Milestone 1, I secured a small business loan. I hired Miguel, a culinary school dropout with a passion for flavor. Together, we elevated the menu, our reputation growing organically, one satisfied customer at a time. But it wasn't just about the food. It was about the experience, the presentation, the personalized service, the unspoken understanding that we were creating something special. I strategically networked, attending industry events under the guise of a humble vendor. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, Alina's Eats infiltrated the Dallas social scene. The decision to remain anonymous was strategic. Kendra's constant belittling fueled a fire in me. Her words, Alina and her little taco truck, became a mantra. I cherished the contrast, their public perception versus my reality. The quiet satisfaction of watching them unknowingly consume my success became a perverse pleasure. Elegant Occasions was my biggest gamble, milestone 2, a struggling catering company with a stellar reputation and a tarnished brand. The acquisition was complex, requiring months of negotiations and a significant financial investment. But the potential was undeniable. The months that followed were a blur of rebranding, restructuring, and relentless work. I insisted on maintaining a low profile, delegating media appearances to my capable team. As Elegant Occasions flourished, the irony deepened. There was a party Kendra organized where she complained loudly about the caterer. I knew then. I could pull the trigger at any point. I just needed to decide when. Then came Tyler's wedding. Elegant Occasions was chosen as the caterer, milestone 3. A potential revelation hung in the air, thick with unspoken tension. I walked through the venue, double-checking the table settings, the flower arrangements, the lighting. I saw my father, his face flushed with drink, laughing boisterously with Kendra. They had no idea who I was or what I was capable of. The knife cut through the butter. The decision had been made. Weeks later, an email landed in my inbox, its subject line a jarring intrusion. Family emergency. Abigail, Tyler's wife, was the sender. My pulse quickened. Focus, Alina. This could be it. The email detailed a sudden health scare with my father. Apparently, he'd collapsed at a charity gala. The gala, I learned, was catered by, you guessed it, elegant occasions. My stomach twisted. Was this guilt or opportunity? I spent a restless night grappling with conflicting emotions. The image of my father, frail and vulnerable, haunted me. I hadn't seen him properly in years. He still chose Kendra. But Tyler was different. A decision crystallized by dawn. I would go, not as Alina, the catering magnate, but as Alina, his daughter. I packed a simple bag, mindful of my appearance. A subdued dress, minimal makeup. No outward signs of my success. Entering the hospital room felt like stepping back in time. The sterile smell, the rhythmic beeping of machines, the hushed voices. Kendra sat beside my father's bed, her face etched with a carefully crafted expression of concern. Tyler stood awkwardly by the window, his gaze fixed on the city skyline. He turned as I entered, his eyes widening in surprise. "Alina," he breathed, a flicker of genuine warmth in his voice. "What are you doing here?" I managed a weak smile. The game had begun. "Dad's sick, Tyler. I wanted to see him." The words felt hollow, even to my own ears. Kendra's head snapped up, her eyes narrowed. "Well, isn't this a surprise?" Her voice dripped with sarcasm. "We weren't expecting you." My father stirred slightly, his eyes fluttering open. He squinted at me, his expression unreadable. Hours later, the doctor spoke gravely. Something about needing an experimental treatment. Expensive, very expensive. Kendra wrung her hands, her earlier composure cracking. "We simply can't afford that, doctor. We've already exhausted our savings." Tyler looked stricken, his gaze darting between his father and Kendra. The silence stretched, thick with desperation. "Perhaps I can help." The words escaped my lips before I could fully process them. All heads turned towards me, shock etched on their faces. "With what, Alina? Your taco truck?" Kendra scoffed, a cruel smile playing on her lips. The room suddenly felt small, every breath amplified. I pulled out my phone, navigating to my bank's app. A swift transfer. The doctor's eyes widened as he glanced at his own phone. "The funds have been secured, doctor. Please proceed with the treatment." My voice remained calm, steady. The doctor nodded, a mixture of relief and confusion on his face. Kendra's jaw dropped. What did you just do?" she stammered, her carefully constructed facade crumbling. I met her gaze, no longer hiding. "I just paid for my father's treatment, Kendra, with a small portion of Elevated Events Catering's profits." The words hung in the air, heavy with implication. Tyler gasped, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Elevated Events." "Your Elevated Events?" My father, still weak, struggled to sit up, his expression a mixture of confusion and dawning realization. My phone buzzed, it was Marco. "Termination successful, all accounts cleared." "That's right, Kendra, the company that catered your last charity gala, that's mine." And with that single statement, the power shifted. Her world and their perception of me shattered. "You laughed then, you're not laughing now." Silence hung heavy as Kendra sputtered, searching for a retort that wouldn't come. The calculated move left them reeling. I watched, detached, as the realization spread across their faces. Tyler looked like he'd been struck, a silent plea forming in his eyes. "Alina, how?" he finally stammered. He did not know the half of it. "I built a business, Tyler. A successful business," I stated, my voice even. "Something you were always told I couldn't do. Something you were funded to do." Kendra recovered first, her eyes narrowing into slits. "So you're saying you let us believe, you let us struggle," her voice dripped venom, "as if you had given us a choice." "Struggle? You mean living off my father's savings while belittling my efforts?" I raised an eyebrow. "The irony is almost too rich." My father, his voice raspy, spoke for the first time. "Alina, this is unforgivable, humiliating us like this." Humiliating? Was I the one who had bulldozed my mother's garden? Humiliating, Dad, you sold our house to fund Tyler's failed venture without even telling me. I paused, letting the words sink in. "I'm simply leveling the playing field." Kendra attempted a softer approach. "Alina, darling, can't we discuss this like a family? Perhaps there are opportunities for collaboration." A thinly veiled attempt at manipulation. I laughed, a short, sharp sound. "Collaboration? After years of dismissal, I think not." Tyler stepped forward, his voice pleading. "Alina, please, Abigail and I, we need help, our business is failing." He looked at me, seeking a handout, the old dynamic resurfacing instantly. "You laughed then, I am not laughing now." "Funny, Tyler, you always seemed so confident." A beat of silence. "Elevated Events doesn't offer charity, we offer services at a price." a price they clearly couldn't afford. Kendra, sensing her advantage slipping, tried one last gambit. Alina, think of your father, he needs you, financially. Financial needs now, how convenient. He had me, he chose you. I turned to leave, a feeling of profound relief washing over me. Consider the treatment a gift, no strings attached, from elevated events. I paused at the door, turning back to face them. And Kendra, enjoy your taco. The mic dropped, but the game was not over. One more thing, I added, my voice deceptively calm, a beat. Remember Tyler's wedding, the elegant occasions catering contract? Kendra's face tightened, a vein throbbing in her forehead. I paused, letting the suspense build. There was a termination clause, I explained, enunciating each word. A standard legal protection, naturally. I watched as understanding dawned on Tyler's face, followed by a wave of horror. Kendra's carefully constructed persona began to crumble. She sensed a second shoe dropping. Tyler stammered, "You mean you could have stopped the wedding?" His voice was barely a whisper. "Indeed." I pulled out my phone again, tapping a few buttons. The screen reflected in Kendra's widened eyes. Specifically, Clause 3. 2b. Allowing immediate termination due to gross disrespect or disparagement of elevated events or its owner. A faint smile played on my lips. My finger activated an email draft I'd prepared. I was prepared to use it had things escalated. Kendra's breath hitched. "You would, wouldn't I?" I tilted my head, feigning innocence. The irony is, the clause also stipulated forfeiture of all payments made to elegant occasions. A considerable sum, I imagine. My words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken implications. A final, devastating blow. And should the family wish to engage any catering services for future events in Dallas, I stated, my tone factual, they would require my explicit approval. As owner of Elevated Events, I control approximately 60% of the city's catering contracts. Tyler's face paled further. Kendra stood frozen, her mouth agape. My father, his face ashen, simply stared at me in stunned silence. The room, once filled with tension, now echoed with the weight of their utter defeat. In time, the dust settled. Kendra's attempts at manipulative reconciliation were swiftly rebuffed, her calls going unanswered. Tyler and Abigail, humbled, eventually moved to Austin, seeking a fresh start, their relationship with me tentatively rebuilt over strained phone calls and awkward holidays. My father, though grateful for the treatment, remained distant, struggling to reconcile his image of me with the reality of my success. The visible changes were immediate. I bought a condo downtown, bathed in sunlight, miles away from the cramped taco truck. My wardrobe transformed, reflecting the confident CEO I had become. The emotional shift was even more profound. The constant gnawing of self-doubt quieted, replaced by a newfound sense of inner peace. Looking back, I realized the power wasn't in the money, but in the freedom to choose. The scholarship fund in my mother's name grew, a testament to her enduring legacy. I restored the taco truck, parking it outside my office as a reminder of where I came from. It was more than just food, it was the symbol of how far I traveled. In the end, all that matters is who you are, not what they said. The ultimate revenge is living well on your own terms, unapologetically you. So, feeling inspired, ready to rewrite your story, share this. Others need to know that success, not revenge, is the sweetest victory. Make their doubt your fuel, own your success.